Hi there, Luke.
Hi, Lisa. Howdy.
You know, I've seen your name tag, but I don't, and so I know, it's like, oh, I know who Luke is, but I don't really know who you are. So this is a really kind of fun opportunity for me to get to know you better. I appreciate you coming in, I really do.
Great. Happy to be here, really.
Great. Excellent. So before we get into the interview, let me explain the purpose. Now, here at First Congregational, we want to capture the history of First Congregational through the experiences and memories of our longest time members. So you're in an august category there, kiddo. And the other thing is to mention how the videos will be used, because it's being videoed. It'll be shared throughout the year via e-blasts, and short segments may also be used in worship. The first question they suggest we ask is, what are your first memories of First Congregational Church? Think back.
I would say, starting right off, some of the people I met here. First Cong had this open sense of welcome that was palpable, evidentiable, noticeable from day one. I felt like I was someone coming out of the desert because I had wandered on trying to figure out what my religious faiths were, what my spirituality was. And my very first memories were of this place having an environment that allowed me to do that without castigation, without making me feel like I was stupid or ignorant. But it just said, hey, we're all fellow seekers here too. And so that was very profound for me.
Very nice. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And when and why did you become a member of the church? And who was the minister at the time?
Jim White.
Jim White.
And he also was very influential. Jim was the first minister that when I would hear a sermon, I would pay attention 100% from beginning to end. See, I grew up in a fairly conservative church group. I went to a Bible college, and so I was fairly fluent on biblical issues. But at some point in time, I started realizing that I didn't really agree with my original youth and young adult upbringing, which was believing in the literal Bible. And so that's when I mentioned I wandered in the desert for a while because it wasn't working for me. And so when I first started coming, literally every sermon was an eye-opener. I would walk away after a sermon going racing back home to my Bible, which I still had a conservative version of the New Testament, and look it up and said, oh my gosh, I had no idea it could be interpreted that way. And so that's what Jim and the rest of the staff helped me do, and it's just a totally paradigm shift, and it really restored my belief in spirituality.
Right. And so then is that why you became a member? Can you say when that was? Do you remember?
I would say it was in the past.
It is in the past. Right.
I would say it's probably, since I'm a long-term member now, I would say it's probably 20, 25 years if I had to guess.
Really? Yeah, so, okay. Been here for a while then.
Long time, a lot of changes, and I'm just so glad to see it's prospering and flourishing, and so, yeah.
We'll talk about that flourishing thing in a bit too, so I'll have you come back around to that a little bit. Can you share a memory from your time spent, say, with any particular committee or any particular group or team that comes up for you?
Well, I've got a lot to choose from, as I guess as a lot of long-term members do. So I actually served on staff here for several years. I was the director of youth and adult ministry program.
Oh my goodness.
I was on staff when Dell Hokinson was, and I saw her upstairs coming in, and all of a sudden just the memories came pouring back. So served as staff. I directed the Jim White Lectureship Series, was the chair for that. Did a capital campaign where we built the atrium and restored the boiler rooms. Spent 1 year helping revise the Constitution and bylaws, which they were quite outdated, and so I think that's something that every 5 years needs to be taken a look at. And so really had a number of committees and groups that I did get to work with, and all were very influential. First and foremost, though, and with my friend Paul Schwotzer over there, who is one of my longest term friends, guitar playing, singing, and music. And so for many years I've been able to do the folk quartet, or the folk service, and so that's been foundational.
do you play? Tell me about your playing.
Acoustic guitar.
Acoustic
Six
guitar.
string, yeah.
How long you been playing guitar?
Long time.
Long time.
Yes.
Well, that's the second time you've used that phrase.
Things get vague when you start doing, well, what?
Who do you remember as friends in the church over the years?
Well, just mentioned two.
Sure.
There are many others, but one that definitely stands out is Marge Murray. And that goes back to childhood. Her daughter Lynne and I went to high school together and were involved in student government here at Wasson High School way back in the day.
I went to Wasson too.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
73.
71.
There you go.
So
God,
we were there at
should've
the
known
same
each other
time.
somehow.
Yeah. So anyway,
Keep going.
Lynn and I were both in student government,
Yeah,
and
okay.
we would have meetings at their house, and Marge would always host it. And so I had no idea about First Cong in those days, but when I did join, Marge was, I think I know you. Lynn, I think I know you. And so those type friendships, go back to the late 60s.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, well, let's talk about Wasson.
We will.
Okay.
We can talk about Wasson.
You'll have to edit that out.
All right, let's see. What do you value most about this church and community?
It's acceptance and giving people space to explore, struggle, figure out the things that I went through.
Yeah.
And again, partly because I was younger, I was a kid, young adult, I was looking for a church or a religion that kind of gave me all the answers and said, oh, you believe this, do this, hear, believe, repent, confess, be baptized, and follow the Word of God. 6 steps to salvation.
Yeah, right.
And when that really wasn't working for me anymore, this was the first group that said, well, take your time. No pressure. If you need help, support, join in, jump in. If just all you want to do is just come to the Madrigal and be a guest there, we'll let you do that. But if you want to teach Sunday school, if you want to do the folk service, if you want to do, you can do that too while you're exploring it. And so that's a powerful sense of community that I think I value.
So is music a connection for you here? Yeah. Since it's very much part of your life, and there,
some years more than others.
I think it's a good music program here, so I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And thank you then for doing some of that. I love Folk Sunday. I just adore it. So thank you for giving us that gift. And continue to dig a little bit and share what you think might be your favorite memory of First Congregational Church.
It was narrow to come down with just one, but I will say something. It had to do with maybe 15 years ago. A highlight was we had an all-church talent night, and we used the founder's room and adults, everybody, and I think a bunch of us sang cowboy songs and did Cool Water and Tumbling Tumbleweeds.
Flying W.
yeah, we did that.
That idea.
But a highlight for me was the youth group. I got them to do a play, and the highlight of the play was that all they knew was their character's name. They didn't know the script. They had no lines, and so I would read the script, and they had to act it out.
Oh.
And in a sense, I love that the rest of the congregation understood that the kids were taking chances and taking a risk, and supported and cheered them, and because of that, the kids rose to the occasion, and it was just a real highlight.
Marvelous.
So, but it was that sense of everybody supporting everybody and allowing them to do something risky.
Wow.
So, does that kind of make sense to you?
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Makes me think we ought to repeat that, give it a little resurrection and do it again, because it sounds like, a wonderful thing to carry on, and just a wonderful time for the congregation. Yeah, so it makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Yes.
Good share. Thank you for that one. So I kind of gave you a little bit of a forewarning. What advice do you have to give the congregation as we go forward for the next 150 years? Remember, we're coming up on 150.
Yeah.
What do we do for the next 150? What do you think?
So I think, this is my opinion, that the world and our community and others are going to continue to experience major challenges, whether it's political polarization, whether it is climate, whether it is racism. We have any number of issues that still have not been resolved. I think that First Cong is a perfect venue to allow those issues to be safely explored, the challenges met face to face, and taking a stance for justice, I think, if you will. I hope that the Jim White lectureship things continue, because I think bringing in that caliber of speakers totally helps us rethink, see things different perspective, and then gives us ideas to take action. So I think, I mentioned some of the challenges: more population, water issues, all that is going to create more conflict. And if we can figure out that we have more in common than we have differences, then we can get through those conflicts. That's my opinion, and I think that this gives a venue for that. And I want to circle back maybe as a tagline is one of the first things I remember a sermon from Jim, and I don't remember the actual title of the sermon, but he referenced a line in it. He was talking with somebody, and the person didn't like church anymore, and Jim said, "Well, why don't you do church anymore?" And the guy said, "Well, I don't believe in God." And Jim said, "Well, tell me about that God you don't believe in, because I probably don't believe in that God either." and I think that's what we do here, and so that's what inspires me.
How beautifully that line stuck with you too. Yeah. Lovely.
So if we can keep doing more of that, I think we will still have something to give to our community.
Yeah. Well put. Thank you for sharing that. Very nicely put.
Thank you.
And last would just be any other specific memories about First Congregational that you'd like to share? Because this is it. We're basically done. But what else comes to mind that you want to make sure gets captured?
Keep doing the good things, and don't be afraid to try new ones.
Right.
Keep building bridges, keep offering olive branches, but keep encouraging people to grow and learn and become who they are meant to be, or she are meant to be. So,
any other memories that have popped up since?
Yeah, they're all good.
It's all good.
I'll tell you about the kids' youth group I took to the top of a 14er, but that takes too long.
Oh, I think we got time. They're all nodding their heads, and I'd like to hear which 14er. I love mountains.
So we went to the top of Harvard, Cottonwood Pass.
Hot diggity.
We camped, and again, it was fun because we had kids who were first-timers. We had a handful that were experienced, and we were able to get the group to the top and celebrated, and then went back down. And so, again, it's that sense of community and helping each other get up there and seeing a broader picture, if you will. So
I'm impressed. Doing a 14er is tough, and doing it with, someone who's not necessarily a hiker, or someone who's kind of, I'd love to do that, but this group of, I don't know. Good on you. That's a tough one.
Good stuff.
But good stuff I'll tell you that if they were sitting here, they'd probably be telling a story about it too. It's like, this guy took us to the top of Harvard, and it was really special.
Yeah.
So, well done. Anything else?
I'm good.
It was a good one.
Yeah.
Good way to end. Thank you, Luke. Appreciate your time and your help.